Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy 2022. I hope you guys had a safe and fun holiday break. This is the season premiere of season 3 of Phumblepodcast. So we are on episode 44. And I'm very excited to kick off the new year with a very interesting person that I've discovered via the interwebs. His name, we were just talking about this off air, is he goes by Jeffrey Kallil. But apparently the right way to pronounce it, and I got points for this, is Jeffrey Kallil. So
yes, sir. You got it.
Thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
100%. So a quick little intro on Jeff here. He's, and this is what really gravitated me towards wanting to get you on here. He has a passion for people and what they're capable of when they are clear on who they are, which is very important, and what they want. As a marketing executive at, and I want to pronounce this right, Convivial.
You got it.
Okay, great. And entrepreneur, everything Jeff does rises and falls on building strong relationships. What he has found is that all relationships are built on the same principles. And when people understand those principles and practice them, fulfillment and happiness follows. Well, that's amazing. And that's his mission. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And he wants to create a world that has stronger, deeper relationships with one another. And that begins with the relationship you have with yourself. And that is huge.
Cheers.
Oh, man, that's cool, man. And you just told me that Anis is related to you, which is great.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. We go way back.
Wow.
15 years. So
that's awesome. And Anis, for everyone who remembers, was episode 33 of this podcast. The amazing musician, songwriter, artist, very cool dude himself. So tell me, man, I want to know, I had this question in my mind because first of all, I got myself a self-love hoodie from
nice.
Anis's products because I believe in that. I think it's true. It's 100% true. I was very abusive to myself mentally growing up. I'm 36 now, but I was just really hard on myself. I almost punished myself worse than anyone else could punish me. because I think it's partially being a perfectionist. I think it's a double-edged sword, right? So, and I want to talk about that to start. I know I'm not alone in this. I know a lot of people who go through this. So what is some of your advice for people who don't want to be mean to themselves, but do it as a result of character flaws?
Yeah, right on. I think when you have to really come back to it is why. And what I mean by that is people often go through life and they're just like, I am this way, right? Mm-hmm. And so, for example, I'll say I am awful at creating boundaries. And so that's literally, you're right here. You're right at the beginning of your journey. I am horrible at creating boundaries. Okay, so now you go to work on that. And you're talking to some friends, and you've been working on this for a few days. So you probably have moved from point 1 to point 3 because you're making progress, right? But you're talking to your friends about what you're doing, and you're like, you know what? I'm terrible at making boundaries or setting boundaries. You are still telling yourself you are literally at square zero no matter how much progress you make. And so people will continuously do that over and over and over again. And the question that I have to ask is why? Why are people consistently telling themselves a narrative that shuts down any progress that they make? And the answer that I'm coming up with is only one answer. and it's a unrealistic expectations on what you need to achieve within a period of time that you've set for yourself. So you have a bad relationship with time, and you have a bad relationship with your expectations. I think when those two things are solved, you can start talking to yourself a little bit kinder. And instead of it's I'm not here, it's I'm in progress or I'm in process. And I think that it really defines the dynamic between you today versus you tomorrow. It's time and your expectations and the work that you get to doing it. So how did you get out of it, man? How did you go from that time shift?
A lot of lessons learned, I think. It was many years of so a little background on myself. I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm a comedian now. I was always a comedian, but now it's, I guess, more official. But
congrats.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing it. And that's actually part of this whole self realization and self-love and acceptance of who I am as opposed to who I thought I'm supposed to be. I think that was the biggest differentiation between the two was my struggle. And I'm also a musician. I've been a musician most of my life, and I pursued music at a very young age. And when you're young, and actually a part of this my mentality that I've developed over the years is to keep that innocence and that purity from our childhood, right?
Yes.
And I think I always go back to that because and I don't know, luckily I'm able to see it, right? Even though I was struggling over the last 10 years to really find this peace within myself. I think it was one of those deals where I could always see, like, with all the I'm gonna cuss, man. Sorry. With all the bullshit in the world, with all the bullshit we see all over the news, anywhere you turn, any media outlet, that like to, shove those down our throat. Which I have a whole other opinion on that. It's all business. It's a business model, obviously. But
sure, people feed on negativity.
Absolutely, yeah. It makes money, and unfortunately, we become ruthless about it. But I was always able to see, like, I was always able to simplify it to its bare minimum and think, okay, you got the left, you got the right, you got this religion, you got that religion, you got the East, you got the West, you got all these things that are left, right, East, West. But at the end of the day, what are we? And we're all, at one point, we were all babies. We were all humans, right? And we still, I like to think, are humans. And I think we forget that, and sometimes I forget it, right? I forget it too. It's not, it's like it's one of the human flaws, I feel, that luckily we have an internal system that is able to recognize and work on, right? It's a nurturing deal. So I would say that was my kind of root and my base, and that's one of the cultures I've put into this podcast and even into my comedy and my music. I always think, purify the mind, and what's better way to do that together and laugh while you do it.
Yeah.
And so I would say that was the beginning of me starting to understand that I have to also work on me. And I started looking at myself through the eyes of others, and I started realizing 99% of the things I'm thinking about what they're thinking is the furthest from the truth. It's the furthest from the truth. And it was a lack of confidence issue, insecurities, being an immigrant as a kid coming to America, and then having to adjust to Western customs and culture, and then growing up, being bullied in middle school, high school, and like, figuring my shit out, right? And then making peace with my past, making peace with mistakes that I've made, because I'm not alone in that either. Everybody does, right? So a long-winded answer, but to kind of paint a clear picture for you, my music career really hit a high point in my early 20s. And then
Awesome.
thank you. Yeah. And it came to a halt because the 100% honest answer for that is I got scared, right? I started to let fear
Real
dictate.
talk. Yeah.
And that fear is real, man. That shit, I mean, if I'm not cognizant of it, it's
Hmm.
there. It's still there, but I've learned to, again, because of 10 years of just battling that. I finally just said, you know what, I'm just going to do it, right? You're never
Hmm.
ready to start something. You got to start it, and then you learn as you go. That was the best advice.
100%.
Yeah, one of the best advices I've got. But anyway, so it was battling that fear from the end of my musical like touring career, and then go
Hmm.
still, still play and stuff, but uh and then having to make peace with that and not beat myself up and blame myself for all these things that I was false. And then I fast forward to 2000, late 2019. I said, hey, I'm always making people laugh. And I've always loved this at my purest form. Again, the word pure.
Yeah.
What am I doing that? Why am I being different people in front of different people? Right. So,
Yeah. 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 Right
and,
on.
and it was huge for me. And I think I was like, I need to live honestly, and I need to be me 100% of the time. I can't be a chameleon, right? I
Yep.
can't be a chameleon, and I can't be this way in front of like my uncles and aunts, and then be this way in front of my friends, and then this way in front of my coworkers. It does. I need to be the same, and I have never been happier than by as a result of that. And it's a work in progress because I have to retrain my mind a lot, but I'm in a good place, right? I'm happy and I'm at peace because I'm being honest with myself, and that was a big lesson.
Yes. You know, I kind of want to go back to what you said about purity. And in life, if you really go down to like the bipolar aspect of it, there is pure and there's impure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no in between in that. You're born in a sense like purely human, without labels, without any sort of connotation of skin, color, race, gender, sex, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And human beings seek simplicity. And so, how do we simplify things? We label them so because with that label comes a recipe of who you are. But in reality, labeling everything creates a complexity that we don't even really want. We think we're simplifying everything, but we just make everything more complicated. So the reality is, if you can simplify your life again, because your life is simple up here. I don't care if you're poor as a kid. There are instances where you are in a really different situation. I'm talking about the average majority, I should say. Most 0 to 10-year-olds have a complex of what is actually happening in my life, and it's very simple. And all of a sudden that self-awareness starts to kick in, and they're like, what does Robbie think about me?
Yeah.
Dang, I'm not as good at basketball as Joey.
Yeah.
And there's little bit of things that start to kick in and seep into your soul and your heart. But that's the impurity talking.
Yeah.
And I've heard a quote that I often use in discussion with people because it's just so true, is if you heal that child that's crying out for help, the adult will appear. And that is like
Hmm.
paramount in my perspective, because we're all children that just have jobs and have responsibility. We
It's
just all want love at the end of the day, man.
Oh my God, so true. Listen, I get my weekly or my daily doses of your tweets just to remind myself of like what's really important. I mean,
I
it's
appreciate you, man.
no, I'm not. Listen, uh, I first of all, I think it's very important, and this was a huge revelation for me. And it's funny because it's obvious when I say it, it's going to be obvious, but in here, it wasn't obvious again because of the impurities, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the field that I'm in, I frequently will speak to or network with a lot of people who are more famous or more popular, right?
Sure.
And I used to let that completely screw up my thought process and
Yeah.
my
Your aura.
yeah.
Yeah.
and and I just became this very shitty version of myself that was not fun, and I was awkward, and I was like not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
dude.
it was just, I had to, but seeing your tweets and seeing just positive and simplified, pure, real, which is important, real messages. One of my inspirations is Jim Carrey, right? And he's
Yeah.
actually, he's like, the stuff he posts on Instagram now, right? Now that he's gone, he's hit the mountaintop of fame, and the things he's posting on Instagram and or on his Twitter, it's like things that are literally talking to anybody, not just entertainers, anybody that's struggling with uh, having peace within themselves, right? Or having peace with this outside world once
Right
they're
on.
living. And, and it's
He took a
beautiful.
huge shift, didn't he, in his career? That, yeah.
100%. 100%. I mean, and he's still funny as hell and he can
Well, of
still
course
do
he
it.
is.
Yeah. But my point is that, like, you know, he's posted some things, and it's just, like there's different languages, right? Like
Mhm.
within the English broader language, there's different sub languages that we gravitate towards, and I feel like, as you said, a large average of human society, especially in America, um, can vibe with these your tweets or what Jim Carrey's saying, or many people uh, who are able to purify what's out there, right? Like
Yes.
what's real, and we're agreeing that us as children was real. That was
Oh,
real,
yeah.
you
You weren't
know.
thinking about the past when you were a kid. You were dreaming about being an astronaut. You were out there playing, for me, hockey and just like chasing girls or whatever you were doing. And
Wow.
like you were
Yeah.
just having fun. Like you weren't hurting anybody. You weren't being disrespectful. You got in a little push fights in the playground, but then you made up the next day and played dodgeball. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah.
There was nothing different other than an awareness that I'm different from you. And because you're different, I'm scared of you. And because of that, I'm comparing myself to you. And therefore, I don't like you.
It's all
And then we
made
start
up.
internalizing that 100%.
Yeah.
It's
It's
all made up. It's
it's all
all
made
in our
up.
head. It's all speculation bullshit.
Yeah, it is. And side note, I gotta say, you are the first Middle Eastern that I know who played hockey. So
Oh, come to
that,
Michigan, bro. You know, they're
okay.
all over the place.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love it. I love it, man. How long did you play hockey for?
Since I was 4, so 20 years.
Dang.
Yeah, I'll play again when my son's a little older. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
beautiful. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Is he
Took a
is
little
he
break.
is he showing is he passionate about it? Does he show some?
He just turned 3.
Okay,
So
okay, he's little.
yeah,
Yeah,
we got some time. Probably, but I mean not a lot. Probably next year we'll get some skates, lace him up, and whether he's passionate about it or not, then he can figure it out later.
yeah. Yeah. With his
You
pure
got to
self.
get him in. Yeah, we got
Right,
to get
right,
him
right.
into it first.
100%. That's great, man. That's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Dude, yeah, I love sports, man. I mean, I played basketball. Probably one of the only Persians that played basketball as a kid. But
Right
it was,
on.
it was like, but you mentioned it, right? That guy's better than me in basketball. We just talked about it. That was a big reason I didn't even try out for my high school team. I legitimately did not try out for my high school team. What did I play? I wrestled in high school because that's what Persians do, right?
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
because wait. But what did you just say? Because that's what Persians do, bro. There's the label right there. You're putting it on yourself.
I know. I'm telling you my fallacy. I'm seeing it clear now, but at 15, 16, no way. I couldn't even, you couldn't even like pay me to go try out for the basketball team. Like it was, we had a couple ballers on that team, but
Yeah.
but it was like, it was just like, no, I can't do that. Right. That was it.
Yeah.
That
Right.
was it. I
Sure.
shut it down right there. And then later on, and again, I hate to harp on like things I could have done and this and that, because I know everything happens for a reason. I believe in it. I know it gave me character. It built me up to who I am today, and I'm proud
Right
of
on.
who I
Yeah.
am today. So, but anyway, man, that's cool. I know Anis plays ball too. I see his posts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's very, very good, actually.
I
The
know.
thing is, too, which is interesting. Him and I have had very similar conversations on the same token. But the thing that I'm like really passionate about is recognizing the nuance between things. So there is a nuance here. And now let's just be real. You throw nuance in social media, no one's watching anything that you're doing. It's not polarizing enough.
No,
You have to be polarizing to get people's attention. It's unfortunately true.
it is.
But the goal here is, and for all you listeners out there will be a day where my content shifts when I have enough of an audience, and I will be calling out nuances like it's nobody's business, because the world needs it. And like the nuance here
Yeah.
is labels can be a really beautiful thing when you're proud of the label. So like I can be like, I'm Lebanese man, love hummus. Like, and I'm passionate about that. Like I can have hummus on my hot dogs and my hamburgers, right? Like that's a label, but I'm proud of who I am in my culture. So I celebrate that label. But the thing is, if you go into an area where you're not proud of that label, it will exasperate your insecurity tenfold.
Yeah.
There's the nuance.
Yeah.
I'm saying labels are good and they're bad. It depends on the context.
Right. Right.
And that's really what we can't talk about in a tweet or a TikTok video because people get lost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
true.
know?
It's true. No, you're right, and I'm with you on that, man. I'm very hopeful on the future of human society, and we'll all be woke enough eventually that we can see the nuances, and that is going to be the hit, right? That's going to be the thing people want to hear.
Well, we're in a polarized culture even right now.
Oh
I mean,
God.
but you're right. I actually fully have hope in humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just do. I just think we're all good people deep down, and we're just hurting sometimes.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Bro, it's amazing. Yeah, you're like, you're literally pulling out the words out of my mind, but you're articulating it way better than my Persian ass can. So now listen, this is a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too long, and
No,
obviously
you're good.
this is a topic we can talk for days, obviously. But how was it growing up for you? And you grew up in Michigan, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, were you born here? Were you born in Michigan?
Yeah. So I'm fourth generation Lebanese.
Okay. Wow.
We did keep the culture and some of the language, and boy, did we keep the food in the dubka line. But those things. So we dance, we eat, we party, we have fun. And the traditional like parental definitely passed down, and which has been a huge blessing. But certainly, I mean, but here's the cool part: where we were, and this is like for parents, the best thing you can do is let your kids ask you questions. And I learned so much from my father and mother, but guy to guy relationship is listening. My father would ask me questions and allow me to answer them fully without any, reprimanding, any judgment. And I was able to do the same for him. So I asked very deep, intimate, like personal questions. And I asked why about literally everything. And he would give me the answers. And the old traditional out of way a lot of times is like, because I said so.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a lot of that. And I was very, very lucky, very blessed on that token. But growing up, man, I have to say, I was very, very grateful to be surrounded by really good people. So in retrospect, when I would reflect and be like, why? This is what I was saying about earlier in our conversation, is you have to ask yourself why. Why are you where you were, whether it was good or bad? And then don't stay there. Just like time travel for a little bit, visit, and then come back to your present, right?
Mhm.
And what I found was being around really good people made a huge difference in my life. My friends were phenomenal.
Mm.
Still friends today.
Mhm.
And that, I think, spearheaded the character, other than who I was raised by, tenfold,
Mm.
and allowed me to go through that. But the reason I got super passionate about this stuff is I went through, and I'm still up and down in depression, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Truly, I mean, I struggle with negative self-talk probably every single day. And when it's left unchecked, I had to go into a spell of depression. But I refuse to take medication
Mm.
because I think our minds are strong enough to figure some shit out.
Mhm.
And I'll go see a therapist. I'll do all that kind of stuff. I'm not ashamed about it at all.
Mhm.
But you're seeing my tweets and they're relatable because I'm talking to me, man. Like
Yeah.
I literally am talking to myself
Right.
when I'm tweeting, and some of them like make a lot of sense, and others I'm like, nope, that's definitely just a Jeff thing, because I'm like not getting any love on it. I'm like, damn it, like I'm dealing with that alone in this round.
Yeah.
But
But
I
I'm
was
going to stop you and say that's not necessarily true. Just
all
because,
right.
right? You're not getting hits on the tweet. That does not necessarily mean it's just you, man. I'm going to tell you, the algorithms with these things are crazy, right? It's not,
Fair enough.
you
Fair
know what I
enough.
mean? Like it's a business, right? That company's a business at the end of the day. They're not going to
Yep.
blow your tweet onto people that need to hear it all the time, right? It's
Very true.
so, or
Touche.
see it.
Actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I'm just lucky enough to follow you, found you, and read all of them because I honestly agree with 99.9, right?
Well,
Even the
cheers,
Jeff,
man.
yeah. So it's
Even the Jeff ones.
yeah. But go ahead, continue. Didn't want to interrupt.
So no, you're good. I thank you for the interjection actually. And because I see it, I still get my own head. And the key is, and that's also what I was talking about at the beginning, is that awareness of like recognizing like, yeah, I do that, but I don't want to. And then move forward. And the thing is, people will often say, like, stop thinking negative thoughts. Stop, telling yourself this way, like you can't help necessarily a thought that comes into your mind. Just like you can't help how someone treats you,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing you can do is affect your reaction. And so if a negative thought comes into your mind, acknowledge it, but give it no time. Think, is that really true? And then you challenge it and you almost have an inner battle. And you're like, no, it's not true that I'm failing at this. I learned X, Y, and Z from it, and I'm in process of becoming A, B, and C. Right?
Yeah.
And so now that you can defeat that in your own head, and sometimes I'll sit in meetings and I'm having negative thoughts and I'll just journal it. And I'll say, this is untrue because,
Yeah.
and I'm literally attacking a thought at the same time as I'm listening to people talking with work. And I knew I needed to do this because I was a really good hockey player. Like probably could have played college. I could have played D3, but I think I could have played D1.
Mm.
And I think what screwed me over was I thought everything, and it killed my game time play.
Yep.
And I have reflected on that for many years, and it's been 12 years now, 13 years,
Yeah.
maybe more. And I'm like, never again. I'm already seeing the effects of that what it can do in my life. And I truly believe that everything negative, everything, evil, hate, acts of murder, acts of rage, acts of anger, all of those things stem from one thing. And you said it earlier. It's fear.
Yeah.
People are
100%.
just scared and they do stupid shit when they're afraid.
It's so funny, man. It's funny because it's fake. That's why it's funny. It's like we created this world within our world that doesn't even really exist. And
100%, dude.
you're right, because but these conversations are pivotal, and that's why my hope is always heightened, because I, like, with every one of these conversations, I even had a uh director, film director here in Sacramento. That's where I am.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, he put it perfect. His name is Nick Leisure. He I asked him, I was like he had a project in Mexico about a true story that happened in Sacramento. He filmed it. And he said his entire equipment was stolen, right? Everything he had in the middle of in this shoot. And obviously he's on, he's paying people, he's got things to deal with. And I told him, like, I asked him, I was like, what the hell did you do? Like, how do you deal with that? And he said, I think the only thing that got me through that is I did not allow fear to make a decision for me. I said, come hell or high water. Now I'm paraphrasing. This is not his exact words, but
yeah.
Come hell or high water, we're gonna see this project through. And by all means, he did. Right. A Clear Shot is the movie, and the movie came out in 2019, and it's a good film, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's actually about the biggest what was it, heist in the country, the biggest heist in the history of the
in the United States.
In the United States, it happened 20 minutes from where I live. Yeah.
Wow.
In like early 90s, like 91 or 2 or something like that. So
no kidding, that's kind of epic, actually.
It is. And he saw it as a kid, and then he grew up to be a director, and now he made a movie about it. It's a very riveting story.
Wow.
Like a story within a story. But
yes, it's almost eerie, because that means that as you were watching it, you would be experiencing what he saw as a child, probably, because he probably put memories as scenes,
right?
Which is amazing to me.
Yeah, bank hostage was the situation, but he saw it on the news and that it's live, and then he was like a block away. He's like, I'm gonna go see what's going on. That's literally what happened. So it's crazy.
Wow.
That's wild. Man. That's some of the records the Sacramento is known for. But but yeah. Anyway, man. I guess the last thing is I want to wrap this up on is the idea of, okay, so a lot of fear comes from emotion, right? You can agree with that. So emotion is a big deal. We all deal with it, and emotion can honestly take your life to the highest and highest of feels versus the lowest and lowest of feels. And I'm it's no secret I'm an emotional guy myself.
Same.
So where do you, a lot of our decisions that we've shared have come from our emotions making that decision, right? It's our emotion, and if it's just logic, right? If it's just logic, we're gonna make the right decision. We're gonna make the decision
most of the time.
Most of the time that'll favor our progress, right? And not just us, but people around us as well. Because you gotta have it can't be a selfish decision. This is my belief, but it can't be a decision that only benefits me. I think if I'm coming up, I need to bring my loved ones and even people I don't know, give back, right? I always believe in giving back, no matter where you are in your career. So, so what are you? How do you manage that, and how do you deal with that? Because this is something I hear all the time, right? I get in an argument with my wife over text. or my brother-in-law or whoever it is, and it's all over text, and then I read the text one way and I'm like, well, that's fucked up, and then I'm like, and then my wife is like, no, it's because of the text is what. But my thing is, if it's not supposed to be viewed multiple ways or polarizing ways, my thing is we can word it in a way that it can actually be more careful and more gentle in its delivery. You know what I'm saying? So where you
100%.
where do you sit on that with the idea of emotion and how to handle what could be otherwise read in a negative way, right? Because of the
Yeah. I think and I actually think you've articulated there's a second portion to that emotion, and that's the art of communication,
right,
right? I
right.
mean, which go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's all about how you say something, which is completely lost over the written.
Hmm.
And everyone thinks they're good writers. They're not,
Yeah.
you know? And exclamation points to one person is yelling, and to another person it's excitement. So it's like you can't win. And you have to
Right.
take your best shot. So
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is there's a few things. And the first is, what is emotion to its core? It's energy. It's an exchange, right? Of almost like human power.
Yeah.
And so we could make logical decisions, but I only think logical decisions can get you so far. I think emotion maybe will make you a wrong decision, but when it's made correct, it will stratospherically impact your success. Because we're emotional beings. You and I might be more comfortable saying we're emotional men,
Hmm.
but the reality is everybody is emotional,
Mm.
and they exchange it one way or the other.
Hmm.
And so recognizing that it's a power, and so what happens when a power is uncontrolled, and now I'm going into my fantasy, I'm showing my geek side. When a power is not controlled, it consumes you and ultimately will destroy you.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you can control your emotions, you harness a power that is able to be unleashed at your will instead of it leading you. And so that is, I think, the key is learn how to control your feelings. And if you don't, your feelings will end up controlling you, which will dictate your relationship, which will force you never to have boundaries, which will end up you being unhappy. So how do you control your emotions? You have to understand your emotions. And then on a deeper level, you have to understand how they play a part in you, and how you portray them affects others. It's extreme self-awareness that allows you to be able to do that. If you don't have that, you will have a self-inflated perspective of what you can do, or a self-deprecating perspective of what you can do. But if you're self-aware, you know, like, hey, I'm with this person. I know I'm loud and emotional, like, because I'm boisterous, I'm fun, I'm outgoing. But this person's quiet and reserved. So what do? I scale it back, and I mirror their emotions, and I lean back and put my leg up, and we can just chat,
Yes.
right?
It's
But I
true.
wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't understand how I am naturally.
Hmm.
So the second portion of that be communication. And when we commute, like, I truly believe that communication, no one knows how to do anymore. They don't know how to have a conversation.
Yeah.
They don't realize that you can be direct with somebody and be kind. People avoid hard conversations because they're hard, but it really makes them harder.
Hmm.
And so much in life, like with spousal relationships, people get divorced out of communication errors.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
You said this, and I took it this way, and now I'm choosing not to speak to you for 5 days, and now we've just opened up this gaping wound, and now it's festered and infected, and now we have all these ill feelings towards each other. I mean, I have clients that literally say this stuff in my
Hmm.
side business.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, you are literally destroying something that you have loved because of a communication error.
And you know,
So,
that's it it only brings it's fitting that we talk about this now, because we started talking about having a clear understanding of who you are, right? And that's
mhm.
who the people that, I mean, ideally everyone has a clear view of who they are, right? Like that's That's the
But I
whole
don't think they do.
that's the whole point
That's
of
the
this thing.
problem.
Exactly. Right. It's easier to point fingers that way than point it back. Right.
Oh, of course.
And it takes humility. It
Of
takes
course.
a boatload of humility to really just be okay with not being okay, and vulnerable. And it I believe that that's where real love can be
Mm,
created, is because we always want to seem strong for the in front of other people, right? We want to seem like I'm hard. I don't have issues, right?
mhm.
I think the evolution of thinking and in human relationships is going to eventually get to the point where we come to each other and we say, listen, I'm not okay. I was depressed the whole week. I need
Mhm.
help. I want you to empathize with me, right? And
Mhm.
I'm gonna empathize with you. So to me,
Mhm.
empathy, communication, right, to be
Mhm.
successful has to have empathy. It has to have humility, and
Mm.
it has to have the ability to uh, think from their perspective and not just your perspective, right?
Yes.
I think
Well
it
said.
I think it's huge, man.
It is. It's paramount.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm hopeful that more people like yourself, like myself, are jumping on the social media, and it's made the world connect on a much better and deeper level. I don't believe about I believe you can look at social media as negative, but you can
Mhm.
look at social media as a source of unity and a source of bringing this world with all the borders that were fake, ultimately,
Yep. Right.
together, right? It's all
Yes.
created. We've created a world within a world that didn't need to be created. And
Nope.
it's all we got to break all these barriers down and see each other as what? As humans. We were all once children that were pure and wanted to see the world love each other, right?
Yes.
Starting with our own parents, and then
Right.
go over and magnify that to the whole world. Listen, Jeff, plug away your social handles, social media
Right
handles.
on.
Go for it.
You guys can find me at Jeff Kallil. On my main platforms are Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
And they
And
will be
so
right down here or right here,
perfect.
one of these areas.
Yes, right on.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me on the season premiere of season 3 of Fumble Podcast. It's the best way to start the new year, guys. Let's love each other. Let's empathize. Let's have a passion for betterment. Let's have a passion for self-love, as Annie says. And
Yes.
and this is episode 44. You can go ahead and hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. You can now catch the videos of these podcasts on YouTube. It's always been there, and now on Spotify. You can follow me and Fumble Podcast on Instagram, TikTok. I'm PejTheManiac on all those platforms, Twitter. My Linktree is all on my Instagram page and TikTok page. Let's kick this year off right. I wish everyone a safe and healthy new year, and hopefully this COVID thing can be behind us before,
Amen.
because I want to see people in person for my podcast. And this is beautiful, but it would be even better in person. Jeff, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, brother. Be
Appreciate
good.
it. Thank you.